Welcome back to another one of my videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lotta, and today I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite homemade ice cream recipes. Now, in a previous video, I've already shown you the step-by-step on how I make my ice cream base. If you want to see that, it's up there because we're going to be using that exact recipe to switch it up a little bit and make a couple different ice cream flavors. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first ice cream recipe in this video is going to be an espresso ice cream. Now for that, you're going to need our 4 base ingredients, which is 250 milliliters of milk and cream, 4 egg yolks, and 90 grams of sugar. Now to this, we're going to be adding 5 grams or 3 teaspoons of instant espresso powder, as well as 2 shots of espresso. Now, depending on how much you want your espresso or your coffee flavor to be, you can always add a little bit more instant coffee or a little bit less. But I like it quite intense, so I think this is going to be a good ratio for me. Now in a previous video, I already showed you the step-by-step on how I make my ice cream base, but essentially all we're doing is heating up our milk and our cream, as well as our espresso, in a pot on the stove, just until it's just about to boil. You don't want it to boil, you don't need it to be super hot, maybe around 75 to like 85 degrees Celsius. And in the meantime, we can already whisk together our eggs and our sugar. Now that our milk cream mixture is super nice and warm, we're going to let it cool off just a little bit before we temper it with our egg yolks. Now to temper this, we're basically just going to add little spoonfuls of our hot cream mixture and whisk it into our egg yolks. That's going to A, help dissolve the sugar, and B, it's going to allow the egg yolks to kind of get a little bit warmer. That way they're not going to scramble when we add it all back into our pot. Now we're going to heat this back up to 75 to 85 degrees Celsius. You want to make sure to not let this boil because else your egg yolks can curdle, which is obviously not what you want in your ice cream. Now a good tip to see if your ice cream has thickened enough is to use the back of a wooden spoon, and if you can blow on it and you get like this beautiful rose shape, you know it's done. We're going to give this a quick strain to make sure any chunks or lumps that might be in our ice cream quickly get removed. Now at this point, this just needs to chill to about 6 or 7 degrees Celsius, which is your average fridge temperature. Now if you want to quicken this process up, you can always use a cold water bath, or you can place this into your freezer and then whisk it around about every 20 minutes until it's also reached that 6 or 7 degree marker. But in my case, I'm just going to leave this in the fridge overnight, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to churn my ice cream. It's the next day and we're finally ready to finish our espresso ice cream. Now the last thing we need to do is simply pour this into our ice cream churner and let that churn for about 20 minutes until we have a nice thick ice cream consistency. Now if you're feeling a little fancy, you can also layer this with some melted chocolate like I did with my stracciatella ice cream. That way you're going to have some like really nice chocolate shards in it, and I think it would also go really good with the coffee flavor. But I think I'm going to leave mine just like this, plain old espresso ice cream. Now I also recommend freezing this for another 1 to 2 hours. That way it's going to thicken up a lot more and you're going to have less of this soft serve ice cream and more of actual ice cream. And there's our super creamy espresso ice cream. It's definitely very smack you in the face coffee flavor. So if you don't like that, maybe do a teaspoon less of your instant espresso powder. Now this ice cream would also taste delicious in my iced coffee recipes that you can find in this video. Now without further ado, let's get into our second ice cream. Now for the next ice cream recipe, we're going to be making Amarena cherry ice cream. So for that, I already went ahead and made my ice cream batch that I let cool off overnight in the fridge. And the only other thing that you're going to need for this recipe is some Amarena cherries as well as some of the syrup that's inside of your jar. Now I'm going to start by just churning my ice cream, and then we're going to layer it with some of our candied cherries as well as some of the syrup. Now while the ice cream was churning, I already went ahead and cut up my whole glass of cherries. I took each cherry and basically just quartered it to have a couple smaller pieces. Then again, you can also leave them as whole cherries if you prefer to have big chunks of cherry in your ice cream. Now please don't throw out your cherry syrup because you can use that in a bunch of other recipes, plus we're going to use a little bit of that in our ice cream as well. That all being said, now that our ice cream is nice and churned and we have a nice smooth consistency, we can go ahead and just dump all of our cherries right in there and give it one more quick churn to incorporate it, and then we can just transfer it into our little tin. Now if you don't feel like dumping all of this into your ice cream churner, you can always layer it in your tin like we did with the stracciatella ice cream. Now once again, I'm going to freeze this for 1 to 2 hours before serving. And there's our delicious Amarena cherry ice cream. So that's going to be everything for today's video. If you enjoyed the 2 ice cream flavors that I showed you, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, both recipes are going to be in the description box as well. And if you want to see any more ice cream recipes from me, let me know as well.